Hello, Conquerors. How are you this evening? It is Friday night. Just got paid. I am Seneca Williams, also as Coach Sen, and the CEO of the Conquer Network. The Conquer Network is an online community where we support entrepreneurs in building mental wealth for business. So today we are doing another CEO Conquer Business Spotlight. And I've been looking forward to this one for quite some time because one, it's relevant to what's been going on. Two, I'm a supporter of her. And three, we go years and years back. So welcome. Wherever you're tuning in from, we like to support our speakers. So when you see something that they say, when you hear something that they say that is going to, inspire you, I want you to go in the comments and drop a gem. If they're saying something that you're like, I need to take notes, you want to remember it, I want you to drop a notepad in the comments. And if you just want to support this speaker, you can drop a crown. Now, you might not remember this, but back in the day on AOL, we used to ask people age, sex, location. We wanted to know where they were from. So I want to know, what's your business? Also want to know if you're an entrepreneur or a sidepreneur, right? So either you're doing it full-time or part-time, and what's your location? So what's your business, entrepreneur, sidepreneur, location? So type that in the comments. So welcome. I see that we have our guest. She's already on here. All right. I also see Cruising Clay is on here, and Carmel Soap. Welcome. So whether or not you're watching this live or on the replay, I definitely want you to go ahead and join in the comments. So for many of us, we remember where we were March 2020. I think it was about this time exactly 12 months ago when the world as we know it and have known it changed. Everything shut down. I actually remember it was a Friday evening that I picked up my daughter from school, and then the school was closed and she hasn't been back in the classroom since that time. The world has been very different. Do you remember where you were March 2020 this week? So today's guest is Peta-Gaye Daniel from My Cruising Family. And not only is she a phenomenal entrepreneur, I also go way, way back with her. She was one of my clients about 2 years ago. Well, no, I can't even say 2 years ago, but way back, like in 2017, I think. And I've known her since childhood. We were classmates in school. So it's definitely a blessing to be able to see someone grow up, start their family, and move forward in life with entrepreneurship and be successful. So I'm going to go ahead and read Peta-Gaye's bio because I just can't remember all the fabulous things she's doing. So Peta-Gaye, she's the founder of My Cruising Family. She's also been featured in NBC News, Mogul, Self Magazine, Travel Pulse, and the Disney Wedding Podcast. She encourages women through travel and lifestyle conversation. Peta-Gaye is that mommy friend who shares, listens, and encourages. And she's that mommy friend who almost always says, go ahead and book that trip with the family or without, and she will encourage you to treat yourself. How many of you are like, yes, that's me. I need to treat myself. Peta-Gaye created the My Cruising Family blog and social media space, primarily talking about travel. But with the huge pause in travel due to the pandemic in 2020, the My Cruising Family blog and social media space has pivoted, into a place to inspire others as we all take one step at a time. One step at a time. I asked my guests today to choose a topic that they wanted to talk about for their spotlight. The topic that Peta-Gaye chose was unexpected pivot. Pivoting during the pandemic. Pivoting right after I thought I was giving this business up. How many of you have felt that way in the past 12 months? Like you were going to give this business up. It wasn't going to work. And what's interesting is she's in the travel industry. So she's here. I want you to go ahead and ask to join so I can bring you into the conversation. Hello, welcome, NG Creations, Creative Creations. Welcome to tonight's Business Spotlight. I know that I saw Peta-Gaye was on here. There she goes. All right, let's bring her in. So many of us were, scrambling last. Are we going to pivot? What were we going to do to pivot? All right, there she goes. Welcome.
Hi, Seneca. I can't see you now, but it says connecting, but I was seeing and hearing you a few seconds ago. There we go. I see you.
I can see you and I can hear you. So let's ask our guests, can you see and hear us? Somebody let us know in the comments what's going on. Instagram was acting a little funny today.
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
All right, welcome.
Okay,
welcome.
I think they could see us. I see some hearts, so hopefully they can see and hear us.
All right, I see some hearts too. So you guys can see and hear us. Check. Okay. So like I said, to support our speakers, if they are dropping gems, they're saying things that you're like, yes, I love this. Drop some gems in the comments. If they're saying things and you're like, I want to take notes, drop some notes in the comments. And if you just want to support this women-owned business, go ahead and drop a crown in the comments to support her. So welcome, Peta-Gaye. Thank you so much for being here with us on this Friday night.
Thank you, Seneca. Thank you for that introduction as well. It's my pleasure to be here. Yeah, it's Friday, and so, who could be upset with that, right? I was so looking forward to this conversation. Yeah. Oh man, I love how you started just now by asking or saying that, we all remember where we were a year ago at this time, and you talked about remembering picking up your daughter on a Friday, and I thought about it today also. I said it was a Friday, so I think tomorrow to the date is going to be a year, because I remember going to work for like the past week and a half before it happened, wondering, when are they going to shut us down and say we can't keep doing this? And it did happen on a Friday, just like this a year ago. Yeah, that's, I guess, where we didn't think it was a pivot. I thought at that time it was a pause, but I think that's where we started.
Listen, we were joking about it, right? Do you remember all the memes that were going back and forth, and we thought we were off for like 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah.
We were like, yeah, what is this thing? We don't know what's going on. We thought it was funny, and then we were like, oh, this is like one of those movies, when the movie starts and the world shuts down.
Yes,
we were like,
exactly. Who knew? I really did not see it coming that we would be here a year later still, and I can't even say still, but like this. In some ways, I want to say better, because now we have a solution. But when I think of the lives lost, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
It's crazy and it's sad, and we're going to jump into all of this. We have so much to talk about, so we definitely know we can't get to all of it right now. We're probably going to have you come back. We definitely can't get to all of it today. But as I was sharing, I've known you for many, many years, and it's just an amazing thing to see someone grow up. I haven't been at the wedding. I wasn't there when the babies were born, but social media kind of makes you feel like you were there.
Yeah, same for you. That's what I can say. I look at your daughter and I'm like, what? I remember the baby pictures on MySpace. We'll be back to MySpace. Yeah, for sure. It's been a pleasure. Watching you too, Seneca. So the feeling is mutual. From junior high to now, it's a long time.
Yeah, it has been a long time. We're not telling our age, but It's been a long time. And when you reached out to me, I was trying to remember if it was 2017 or 18. I don't remember.
I think it was 2017. 2017.
It was a while ago. It was a while ago. Yeah. And what people don't often know is many entrepreneurs, when you contacted me, you were working full-time as an attorney, right?
Yes.
So you were working full-time as an attorney. I want you to talk a little bit about what made you reach out at that time.
Sure. So at that time, I was actually back at an agency I used to work with before. So professional-wise, I found that I wasn't yet at the point that I thought I would be at. So I have a mother who just retired a year ago, actually, after staying at the same job for decades, literally decades. And so for me, that's what I saw and was like, okay, so professionally, you know, that's what you aim for. I did say I wanted to be a lawyer, and I did go through and do that. And I, you know, started at this particular agency after I passed the bar, and it was very stressful, high stress agency. And I left and went somewhere else. So that was one move. And I had just made a second move back to the agency that I left in a different role, less stress, supposedly. And, you know, found myself still like trying to figure out what this professional life is really supposed to be about. And at the same time, I know that personally, I don't want to say, well, yeah, personally, I was sharing, as we said, we're friends. So we were both on each other's Facebook and social media. And I was sharing trips and things I did with my family, and people just in general, you know, would ask about, oh, you go on cruises, don't people, you know, get sick there, or don't, how you do that with the kids? And, you know, just random questions. And I would find myself chatting with people and just having fun talking about planning trips, especially now with having started a family at that time. We were a young family, and I was figuring stuff out myself. So I actually think that it was a combination of trying to figure out how to take something that I like doing just on, I don't even want to say on the side, I wasn't getting paid for it, conversations I liked having, how to take that and also you know, turn that into something more professional, but also trying to fill that, I don't know if I want to call it a void, but figure out what was going on professionally for me, because I was now doing moves that I didn't expect, and not necessarily considering myself a failure, but figuring out like, okay, Peta-Gaye, we need to get a game plan in place. And I saw you and your business at the time, your website and everything at the time. I think you probably changed a bit, pivoted yourself from what it was then. But I saw that you had, I remember one of your catchphrases, for lack of a better term, was like love Mondays or something to that effect. Like you wanted people to not dread Monday. And that like spoke to me where I felt I was with work. And at the same time, you had testimonials from people who were doing businesses, you know, that kind of fit their passion. And so I thought about, I wonder, you know, I love to travel. I wonder if there's something there for me. So it was kind of two worlds that kind of led me to you to ask, you know, for the consult and to move forward there. You know, a desire to possibly do something that's my passion, but also figure out what was going on professionally.
Okay, so you had a feeling that there's more. I don't
Yes.
just have to be an attorney. I don't just have to do this job. I can
Yep.
do more. You didn't exactly know what more would look like.
No, no,
But you were
no.
like, I want to do more, and your first step was reaching out to someone. So I asked you that question because there are so many people in jobs or careers, and they're thinking that they're limited or trapped and they cannot do something else. And you're right, I did pivot as well. I still want people to love Mondays, but it pivoted from more helping people figure out career stuff and transition and opened up into careerpreneurs and entrepreneurs, like people wanting to do what you're doing. So I shared with, you know, the audience your bio. And some people may not exactly know what you do. So they're like, okay, she does travel, but you are, I guess, what you would call a content creator.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
in being a content creator, you've gotten to be featured in, let's go back for those who missed it. You've been featured in NBC News, Mogul, Self Magazine, Travel Purse, and the Disney Wedding Podcast
Yes.
as a content creator. So you were able to segue into this other area. What is that for someone that doesn't know what is a content creator and why you would do that? Like, explain to people what that is.
Got it. Will do. Probably a year ago, I'd have been asking, what is that myself? But we actually all know what it is. It's just that we probably never gave it the name. So a content creator, a lot of people first think of is someone on Instagram who is creating content mostly for brands and other businesses, or YouTube is another big one that people look to for that. Some content creators, actually many, do all platforms. But I'll say the first two that come to mind are Instagram and YouTube, but also bloggers. And I see a blogger on here, The Working Woman, Monique, is on here, and she has a blog. She's a content creator sister as well, who is always supporting, and I see a few of them hopping on. And really what it is sharing content. And this is not even, and I'll get to that when we talk about the pivot, but this is not even really a diversion from travel, because the great thing with content creation is that you can create content on anything, right? So regardless of what it is, on entrepreneurship, there are a lot of people who, you know, create content on that and building your business. And for me, at a time, travel paused. And I did think, honestly, even before the pandemic, for life situations and circumstances that were leading me a certain direction, I did think I was going to pause the business. I had a physical pause myself from a surgery in the summer. And at that time, in scrolling through social media channels, I started to see things from influencers teaching influencers. That's another word for many content creators. And things just started to kind of fit together, like, oh, I could still do this. And so essentially content creation is a way of delivering content, delivering your passion. Hopefully that's what people create content on, or delivering for some people, they deliver when they're going through, delivering, you know, your questions and your, oh my God, is it just me, or is this, you know, that way? Like, especially in a pandemic, like, I mean, the travel industry right now has tons of content creators still out there, not just those traveling, and, you know, more power to them. I'm not knocking either way, whether you choose to travel or stay home, but the travel industry has a ton of people out there. And if they're not traveling, like myself, a lot of us are on here talking about all the things we miss. And is it just me? Or, I mean, can I get vaccinated like yesterday so I can get back on a plane? Like, I mean, little things like that. It's literally conversation on topics that you would be having with your girls or whoever. But you're doing it in a manner that's, you know, to me, actually kind of awesome. Like, it crosses borders. We're having these conversations, you know, across the world through Instagram, through blogs, through YouTube. So essentially that's what it is. It's pretty much me creating content. Right now I fall in the lifestyle category, but people still know I'm a travel lover because I throw that in every now and again. And as soon as we are able to get those vaccines and get on a plane, you'll be seeing a lot more of those pieces of content.
Okay, so I might have been in my excitement jumped over some things, and I don't know what you had prepared to talk about.
Oh no, that was good. That's where we start.
The topic is unexpected pivots. Pivoting during the pandemic, pivoting right after I thought I was going to give up my business. So I'm going to let you take that away from that point of when you thought you were going to give up your business.
Okay. Thank you for that. So as I had just alluded to, towards the end of 2019, I thought I was heading into 2020 to focus more on my family. I have 2 sons, and, you know, they're great boys. They're actually very good students and have always been. But I started to see things that for me as mommy, I was like, look, they need my attention. I need to just like be full on. And so that's what I said 2020 we were going to do. I had actually said, because we had just did this big trip in 2019 towards the end, I was like, we're not even doing trips in 2020 because I need to be like grounded at home. Little did I know what I was saying. I did not mean that, guys. I really didn't mean it. But I then remembered we had some milestone birthdays coming up. My husband's birthday, a milestone birthday, was last year, March, and my little one turned 5 and my older one was turning 10 towards the end of the year. So I said, no, you know what? Let's start mapping out some trips, but we're not going to make that the focus. It's not going to be all over social media. We have family stuff to do. And I head into 2020 with that in mind. Then we shut down. We had to cancel the March trip. And it was, like you said, a Friday like today, a year ago, I got dismissed from work early to start working from home, which I'm still doing. And so in that time, honestly, between March and June, my surgery was in June, I did not pick back up the business. I did not think about content creation. If you told me that term a year ago at this time, I don't think I would know what content creation was. I probably would know influencer. I definitely knew about travel bloggers because I was one, but that was all to me. That was behind me, family focus. That said, come June, let me backtrack. So pivot, I shared earlier on my page this week, an acronym for pivot. And so the P stands for me, in my experience with this pivot, the P stands for planted. And between March and June, as I mentioned, and actually beyond that, I had actually been invited to join this prayer cord, 6 a.m. prayer cord every day, and we were on it every day. And I actually looked forward to it, and my spirit needed it with the lockdown, with the news of people dying, with the numbers that Governor Cuomo was putting up on the news conference every day. I needed that. So not only was that prayer cord, good for us in terms of spirit, all of us involved, and hopefully those attached to us, because we prayed for everybody. I mean, everybody. But it was also a good planting and grounding and foundation to just kind of steady yourself. It's almost like, I remember in my son's chapel, when they had kindergarten chapel at my older son's school, they had the bowl that they use for meditation. They start chapel with that first. They're not actually doing meditation, but that soothing sound, that to me was what the prayers early in the morning did. And so it was a planting. That said, I was at a job, still am at that same job, that I wasn't sure what direction we were going in. And so one of my prayer requests, because people on the court had their personal requests too, it wasn't all physical or about the pandemic. One of my requests was for direction professionally. I actually had 2 other opportunities that were on the horizon, one of which approached me, and I just didn't know what to do. I'm like, we're in a pandemic. Like, what do I do? And so this wasn't even about me jumping back into my cruising family or blogging, but I remember praying about it and asking them to pray, and they did, for clarity on profession and career and passion and drive and giving direction with that. So I say that because it wasn't clear to me when I started following like the Maddie James and the other people on Instagram for content creation strategies and things like that came up in June. It wasn't clear to me that that was even connected to my prayers back in March, April, May, but it started to become clear actually much more recently. So that's the planted. For me, I feel like spiritually, for a pivot, you have to be planted. And the reason that word came up is because to actually pivot, the first time I heard that word, I was a kid in Jamaica playing netball, similar to basketball, but with different rules. You actually can't run as much as basketball. And when you catch the ball in flight and you land on a foot, to pivot, one foot must stay planted, even in basketball, if I'm not mistaken. And you use the other foot to spin around to find either a clear option to shoot or to pass the ball. And so honestly, it was in preparing for this that I was reminded that the first time I heard pivot was that. And the planting of that foot is essential for pivoting so that you don't fall. If you're not planted, you can't spin like that without falling or losing control. So that for me was how the pivot started. I honestly believe it started with those prayers. And then the I for me was intelligence, not as in, oh, you're so smart or not. It's intelligence as in gathering information, like surveillance, CIA, FBI folks. So while you're spinning, while you're doing the pivot, you're picking up information along the way, whether, like I said, whether it's clear to shoot or whether it's clear for you to pass to someone else, your point person, whoever it is. And so for me, my listening to Maddie, my listening to, that's tons of actual content creators teaching other content creators, which that in and of itself blows my mind, because the big message out there is that there's room for all of us. And that's not a message you hear a lot in any industry, really. I mean, whether it be therapy, law, anything, education, like, for anyone in, I don't want to say a higher position, because that's not even how they come off, but anyone who has made it to say, let me show you how I did it. Content creation is one of those areas that, I mean, it's in abundance, honestly. And it's up to you really to pick and choose which route you're going to take and follow. So for me, that's the intelligence that I find I gathered during the pivot, and I'm still gathering, just picking up pointers of what to do, what not to do, what not to shy away from. That's a big part. It's a small audience right now, and honestly, it's more of a community, and a lot, to be honest, are other content creators like me, other moms like me. We all have different interests. Some, I see Stylishly Brit is on here. Some is fashion, a lot are women who encourage other women. I see Britton Bloom on here. Like, there's so many, Go Beautiful Girl, so many people on here that they have all these different niches. CJ and Corey, my God, like a mommy and daughter cooking team, like so many different niches, and everybody just pretty much supports each other and helps each other get to the next step. And for me, that's a big part of the information gathering. And I think a lot of us are still in that stage, But, you know, pivoting is something that kind of got thrown at us. And, you know, some people do choose to pivot, and sometimes you're forced to pivot. And right now, even though I'm still gathering information, I have to do the whole pivot. So the next one up is a V, which is a vision. And so the vision for me came before the pivot. And the reason it's in the middle, well, one, that's where it falls in the word vision, but the vision has to come back up during the pivot. You need to still keep focused on the vision while you're pivoting, so you know what you're going to do. If you're playing that game that I mentioned before, you caught the ball, you landed. Your vision, is it to shoot the ball? Is it to pass to someone else? Your vision, is it to win the game for your team? Like, your vision still has to drive you during the pivot. And so for me, I thought I was giving up the blogging business. I thought I was giving up the cruising business. You know, and I'll back up because Seneca, you know, because we talked and you helped make that vision clear in 2017 when I was like, okay, there's this law stuff and it's all well and good and it pays the bills, but that's not my passion. And so I want to do these trips. And, you know, we talked about possibly having group trips, which in 2019, right before I thought I was giving it up, I actually did book a big group trip for an anniversary, family anniversary thing that summer. And that was cool. And I actually remembered you back then because we talked about a vision and it was about groups. And because I have the blog out there with tips on how to pack for your kids and how to travel with your kids and how to do all this stuff, people still approach me one-on-one. And I did still take people one-on-one, but my vision was groups. And that was what we had landed on. And I segued and it stressed me out. Okay. Somebody called me and said she wanted to go somewhere warm. I was like, you want to go somewhere warm? Okay, we could start with that. But I mean, when I tell you, like, no clue, I was like, I can't, you got to know what you can handle. I have patience, but you got to give me like a little bit more. And so I started to like stray from what I initially said I was going to do. And that was part of what led to the end of 2019, me saying, okay, maybe I'm just going to pull back. I had to realize too that I'm pulling back from something that was very different than what we said I was going to do, what I was going to start. And the group's idea was great. And even that, I know, will change going forward. I don't even know yet. It's something in the back of my mind, and we'll get to all of that with opportunities and take flight, the rest of the acronym for pivot. But, you know, back then, when I was speaking to someone else about the ideas that I had for my cruising family, and was saying, you know, I just really want to help women understand that when you have kids, it doesn't mean you can't travel anymore. Like, travel is such a big part of my life and of my family's life. And I do hear people saying, okay, well, you know, I'll do that when the kids are this age or that age. And I mean, even now, who knew we would have a pandemic? But now I'm like, oh my God, all those people who were holding off for their big trip in 2020, like, they didn't get to go anywhere. Some did, if they went early. But, you know, it's one of those things where I always think, I mean, of course, if the means are there, you know, take a trip, see the world, whatever the world is to you, whether it's local or international, but not to stay stuck in your own little place for many other reasons. As you said, I'm gonna have to come back another day for that because that's a different story. But that was part of my why. That was the vision, to get women to see that they could, and not just women, meant to families to see that they could travel. Kids don't mean you don't travel. And the person said to me, I don't remember the words I said, I just know that's what my intent was. The person said to me that it seems like you have a heart for moms. And, you know, started asking me, well, why do you travel? I'm like, I gotta get away. Like, day-to-day life is stressful. And, you know, I gotta go like more than one time a year, at least every 6 months. And they're like, well, maybe, you know, you should approach moms that way. Like, not so much talking about travel, but what is it you're trying to get away from? It was all this deep stuff, Seneca. And I was like, that wasn't I just want to travel. So I just, you know, I let it, obviously it stayed in my mind and my spirit. It came back during the pandemic, but that was not my intention. And so I was like, all right, you know, that's cool, but I'll continue with writing about how to pack your bags and how to find the best deals and whatever. So putting that now on the back burner coming into 2020, and then sitting up, you know, scrolling on Instagram during my recovery from surgery in the summer, things just started. And I go back to that prayer and that planting, things just started to come back to me about building this as a business, but it was kind of like, I don't know what to do. So continue gathering the information, the vision of you want to speak to moms, speak to moms, speak to moms' hearts. Where are moms' hearts right now? And pretty much we talked about, being home with kids, homeschooling, working from home, all the things that are stressing us out, all the things that are making us happy, the local trips that we wouldn't have taken if it wasn't for the pandemic, like the wineries out in New York, here in Long Island, that I never knew existed as long as I've lived here, and sharing different things like that. So the vision has started to kind of come back to me, but it's kind of manifesting in a different way. And at that same time, it's almost like in the back of my mind, and God and I have these conversations every day in the back of my mind, because he knows me, he made me, and I'm the person who's like, I need to see the plan. And he's like, no, you do not. You need to trust me. And that's what we do. And so for me, it's like in the back of my mind, knowing that we won't be paused forever. Travel's going to pick back up. I don't know how that's going to impact this business, to be quite honest. I have ideas of group trips with me and all my girls that are on here. And you too, Seneca, you know that. And I see your mommy on here. I see her. And,
yes,
she could do all the booking, quite
here.
frankly. She could do all the booking, because I hate booking now, except for my family. But I like the idea of gathering women, like-minded women, to take trips, whether it be with their family, whether it be girls' trips, or whatever the case may be, because we really have been creating that community anyway at home. And the trips aren't every day. And it's something that I honestly think we'll need definitely after the pandemic as a release, but just on a day-to-day. And even before this pause, if you remember, I've done blogs even before the pause, just about how travel was my therapy anyway. And so, that's something I definitely see coming back, but it's not the immediate focus of the content that I create. And that leads me to opportunities. Because of creating content in the lifestyle space, you pretty much have opportunities left and right. And I don't take all of them. And many people on here can account for this. Many are free and they're not paying you, it's okay to wet your feet. And I've done some of those. And then you start to gradually move into getting some pay for certain things. But my focus, not so much on the pay. That's now also come into play. Once you start to get paid, then you start to be like, okay, wait, like, how am I going to prioritize the work that I'm doing? But also looking at what brands and what companies are going to align with my message, or already align with my message. And so the messaging right now is, we're home, let's enjoy our time at home. Time is precious. Motherhood is precious. Being a woman is stressful. And it's a thing that, we should honestly recognize and talk about more. And so products that are like self-care products have been one of the things that I kind of lean towards. There are a couple other, it still actually falls under the self-care umbrella when I think about it, but there are a couple other products or companies that have approached me. I look at products for things that once we do get to travel again, I can take with me on the road. And it's not something that I'm just going to do for like a one-time post. I'm looking for brands and companies and products that are, true to the brand, and whichever way I go, whether I'm going to focus on travel or mommyhood or womanhood, that it makes sense. So the opportunities are there. And again, the messaging, when gathering my information from these other content creators, the messaging is there's space for all of us, because quite frankly, everybody doesn't want to travel. So I may take the stuff that leads, someone to say, okay, hey, let's go on this trip. And then, if someone else approaches me that I think is a better fit for my friends over there who are chefing it up in the kitchen, then we share that information. So, the opportunities are out there. And also it helps to make my vision clearer and my direction clearer once I see the opportunities, turn down the opportunities, accept the opportunities, once I keep doing the work, which is the funny thing. I always felt like, and again, back and forth with God, and he's like, see, like, just trust me, I told you. Like, if I take the next step, it will work out. So I always felt like I need to see where this is all going. But, Maddie James actually said something, I think I quoted her earlier this week in one of my posts too, about movement creates momentum. And in that momentum, you gain clarity. And for me, it's actually happening. And I honestly never really subscribed to that before. I always thought I need to pause and be still till every single thing is clear. But what has been happening is I'm pausing and things are coming to me and I'm the one questioning it. And I'm the one sometimes clouding it and not making it clear. So, you know, the opportunities are there. Once you move on them during the pivot, things do start to clear up. And the last part of the pivot was to take flight, which is move on the opportunities and do, you know, what you have been called to do, what your vision has been leading you to do. And that's pretty much what I'm doing. So not literally taking flight yet, though I so look forward to it again, but taking flight with content creation, which is not something that I had really ever dreamed of doing. But that's what I'm doing now. Content creation in the lifestyle space, not just travel blogging, which is content also, but it's much broader. And the funny thing is, in it being so broad, as I said, I have all these ideas for, you know, possible travel related business moves in the future. So that's my long way to answer your question, Seneca.
So for those of you who just tuned in the middle, this is a content creator slash travel blogger slash mommypreneur slash speaker. And I bet you didn't know you were getting a masterclass this evening. I was here taking notes. I actually was writing down. So I don't know if you guys were taking notes, but the pivot is planted, intelligence, vision, opportunities, and take flight. Is that right?
That's right. That's
yes.
it. That is it. You got
that was
all
a
of it.
wonderful masterclass.
And
are you a speaker too as well?
I am not. And you know, Seneca, when I invited you to my platform, and remember our conversation, and you're like, so what date are you looking at? And I was like, if you leave that up to me, we'll be speaking in December. Because the funny thing is, I enjoy our conversations. I feel like, again, and it's a work in me, right? And this is an internal piece, an internal, I don't know if you want to call it struggle, that is developing or I'm working through, is that I speak. I used to go to court and speak in front of judges on cases that I just got like within the hour before I had to appear on it. But for me, that was like training. It was something it was just different. This is so personal. This is literally in my house, in my living room. This is letting people into a space. And I think the lifestyle space, even if I wasn't in my house, like a lot of what we share is family oriented and family based, that with speaking on that, I feel like I still question that. I not question God on it, but my thing, and I think it falls under imposter syndrome, quite frankly, to be honest. But my thing is, but God, I'm still working this out. Like, I don't even know which direction the business is going in yet. So who am I to now talk to people about how to do their business? I'm still trying to figure mine out. So I have now been speaking. This is maybe the third or fourth live that I've done so far. You were the very first when you were on the My Cruising fan page. And I feel like it's something that each time comes up, like I'm just telling my story. And when I hear it, I'm like, I don't know how this helps people, because I feel like it's still unfolding. I don't have the end result yet. But there is a willingness. If someone asks me to, I will speak, because I don't know how it will help someone. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I don't know, what it's watering in someone else. And I do acknowledge, because I've had people tell me afterwards that, wow, that blessed me. And so I'll open up my mouth and I'll speak. But I haven't, I don't set up speaker series. I don't even know the next live I'm going to have, but I'm open to doing it.
Okay, so Peta-Gaye, you are a speaker. And you just did a master class. And I just took notes, and I was reading the comments. People were dropping gems. And they're commenting. Would you guys agree that are watching this right now that she is speaking?
Well, Seneca, they used to say I talk a lot in junior high. And that did not really go away. But the formality of it, I hadn't considered myself that, but I will receive it, y'all. If that is what God is calling me to, that's all I want, to do what he is calling me to do.
I think you said something very important about imposter syndrome. And I've been like working through what it is really about. Like, is it a mindset thing? Is it the image that we think we are supposed to be to do something? Because, for example, being a speaker, there are speakers obviously that are getting paid thousands and thousands of dollars to speak. That's their career. That's what they
Right.
do.
Right.
But if you are called to speak and someone is getting something from what you are doing, you are speaking to who needs to hear you at your level, right? At that time. And it can grow into you getting paid thousands and thousands of dollars, but tonight you are speaking. And I think that's how we beat imposter syndrome, is by acknowledging what we are doing, what we do have, what we can do, instead of focusing on the we're not there yet, or I don't have that yet, or I can't do that yet, or I didn't get paid, so I'm not really a speaker. And I like to speak life into people that you are and you can be whatever you say you want to be.
Amen. Yep.
I am not a speaker by speaker, terms, right? I didn't go to any I didn't go to any like special program, and what is it, Toastmasters? You know how people go to Toastmasters and they go through all the steps and all of that stuff. I didn't do that. Actually, what I did do is I got a coach. Some of you might know her, Kim Coles from In Living Color. She's a coach, and she does speaking. Coaching. Well, she's a business coach, but she did speaking, and I didn't necessarily want to be a speaker, but people kept asking me to speak, and I was like, really? I get paid to speak now. But when they were asking me, I wasn't getting paid to speak, but now I do, and I was like, okay, well, I want to learn how to do this a little better. So, and then I also, wanted to do it in a way that I felt good getting paid to do it. So I got some training in it, but I was speaking and I had to like check myself, like, you are speaking. People are inviting you to speak. And that's how my imposter syndrome changes. Is not thinking, Yeah.
And it's I'm not gonna lie, it's intimidating, because even just now I'm talking, I'm like, I'm talking and then my mind is on another thing, right? My mind is like, so you're literally having like a session with Seneca in front of all these people right now. I mean, welcome to my professional therapy session.
Well, you know what, though? That is what the Conquer Network is all about. And I appreciate you, as well as all of the guests that I've had on here, for being so transparent. Because I am, for those who don't know me and haven't met me yet, I am a licensed therapist. I do online therapy and I support careerpreneurs, I support entrepreneurs. And we talk about a lot of important things that happen behind the scenes in business that you don't see on Instagram. You see the finished product on Instagram and you think people just got it together and they woke up like this. And some people will make you believe that. And it is not the case. We go through emotional things. Some people are dealing with imposter syndrome. Some people are dealing with straight up anxiety. They have social media anxiety. Like, they want to speak on Instagram Live, but the anxiety is holding them back. Or they're going through things in their life that are making them feel like they can't do their business or do it the way that they want to. They're dealing with burnout. So part of these series and the Conquer Network is a community where we don't judge each other and we allow each other to be transparent and talk about what we are going through as entrepreneurs, as women, as wives, as mommies, as divorcees, as whatever. That's what the Conquer Network is about. And I appreciate you for allowing us into your home and allowing us into your story, because if you go and check out My Cruising, and I'm going to let you share with them, but if you go and check out My Cruising family's Instagram page, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like, she is like fabulous and everything is amazing. And like she just shared with you, there was a time almost like a year ago where you're like, I don't know if I'm going to do this anymore.
Yep. Exactly.
Thank you so much for being here and for sharing all of this with us. And you're definitely going to be back, because you're going to come back and speak again. And we're going to probably legit do a masterclass on this, on pivot, because, I just happened to pull out this. I don't know why.
Oh.
you see it?
Yes, yes, I see it. With God, all things are possible. Yes.
I
Yes.
didn't even know what you were going to say today. I had no idea you were going to
I
talk
know
about
we didn't talk about, yeah.
We did not talk about this, people. I did not even know. But this is why I like spirit-led entrepreneurs and why I like to work with spirit-led entrepreneurs and be around them, because sometimes it is spirit-led. You don't know why you're doing something. God just said, pull out this journal and have it. I don't know why, but with God, all things are possible. You are here with us. Your business is flourishing in all these ways that you didn't know that is going to be growing. You know, these different branches are coming from it, and you're feeling good about it. And that's why we do what we do. We want to feel good about the things that we do and enjoy our lives.
Yes, amen. I agree. Thank you for having me, because you didn't have to ask me to be here. And I don't take it lightly at all. And yes, let's do it again, because as you said, this is how we beat imposter syndrome. We keep doing it. We keep
Yeah,
doing it.
this is how we do it. So let people know how they can reach out to you, where they can contact you, how they can reach out to you, and anything else that you want to share with them.
Sure, thank you. So the blog and website is www.mycruisingfamily.com or mycruisingfam.com. Both will get you there. And here on Instagram, I'm at mycruisingfam. And the YouTube is actually, see, this is when YouTube, just search for My Cruising Family and the YouTube page will come up. You know, I should be able to say it's YouTube / whatever. But when I had set YouTube up years ago, because this was really not what I thought or where it was going to go, it gave me some random set of numbers. But if you search My Cruising Family on YouTube, you'll see some of the old videos, old ship tours and hotel rooms and things that right now, honestly, are going to need a revamp. So I'm going to have to be traveling all over again to give hotel room tours and ship tours when they're, what should I say? They're post-pandemic ready, because I'm sure a lot of things will be different. So those are my channels, and that's where you can find me.
Okay, awesome. Drop some crowns for Peta-Gaye, people. Drop some crowns in the comments. I'm so happy that she's here and speaking
Thank
with us.
you.
And just on a final note, is there a Conquer prompt that you have for the audience tonight? It could be a quote that you live by, a Bible verse, or whatever that you want to leave them with.
So it's a Conquer prompt that I would leave everyone with tonight actually comes from the poem Don't Quit. I would suggest just reading the entire poem. It's actually the entire poem is very powerful, but the part that keeps sticking out to me and keeps repeating itself to me, it's been doing this for the past month or so, is towards the end of it, where it talks about many a struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup, but he learned too late when the night came down how close he was to the golden crown. There are some other verses in between there, and it sums it up by saying, success is failure turned inside out, so stick to the fight when you're hardest hit. It's when things seem worse that you mustn't quit. So it's just to encourage everyone not to quit, keep going, pause if you have to, but rest if you must, but don't you quit. It's earlier in the poem. So that's what I'd like to leave everyone with.
Thank you so much for that. That was awesome. I'm going to go check that out. Drop those crowns for Peta-Gaye if you're watching this live, if you're watching this on the replay. Do go ahead and share this out with your network. We are all one network, Unite and Conquer. And I thank you for joining us, and join us for our, upcoming lives this month in Women's History Month. Okay, I'm Seneca Williams. Ask Coach Sen. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.